ladies and gentlemen, and it's time for Shoot from the Hip, and you know the number. It's 1-605-562-3140. Access code 182843, and don't forget to hit that pound key at the end so we know you're in the room. Now, to welcome my co-host at the time, the wonderful Diva.
Hey guys, I'm so excited for today's show.
Now, without further ado, my special guest this afternoon, he is the walking weapon, Josh Alexander.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Josh, thanks for coming on the show. It's an honor to have you.
Thanks for having me.
So, you've been wrestling for a decade now. So I was wondering if you could tell us about some of your early training with Johnny Devine and what that was like.
I was already kind of trained, per se, when I went to Johnny Devine's school. So when I went, he had to retrain me from the ground up. He had to kind of break all my bad habits that I picked up at the first school I went to. But it was hard training. Like, there was no ifs, ands, or buts if you wanted to be a professional wrestler if you were training under Johnny Devine. So it was something I'm definitely proud that I made it through. It's something I'm happy I did, because I think it contributed to me being a successful professional wrestler.
For sure, absolutely. Now, you've been blessed to wrestle such talent like, the Young Bucks, Samoa Joe, just to name a couple. Now that you're retiring, is there anyone on your bucket list of guys that you would have loved to be able to get in the ring with?
They're all guys that, out of the American Indies, I don't think there's anybody. I would have liked to have one go with Roderick Strong when I was at my best, which hasn't been for a couple of years, to be honest. But other than that, there's nobody I really regret. I'd obviously have dream matches with Nakamura in Japan or something, but that stuff was never even possible.
All right. Now, I noticed that when you work, it's a fairly stiff style. Now, was that by design or something that just happened?
No, it's just being trained by Johnny Devine. It's the Heart Dungeon style, and if you look at anybody that came up from there, from Bret Hart to the Chris Benoit's and anyone, their stuff always looked like it was stiff, and that's kind of the point of professional wrestling. I think if you asked every single wrestler I ever stepped in a ring with, they would say I was one of the least stiff people they ever wrestled. It's just I perfected the art of making wrestling look real.
Okay, then. Wow. Yeah, because it really looks like it hurts a lot. Well, I'm sure it does, but yes, you've definitely perfected the art of making it look like you're doing some major damage they're actually doing. Okay, now speaking of that, when putting together a match, how much do you allow, for fan reaction and interaction to sort of dictate the story that you're trying to tell in the ring?
It's kind of everything that I'm thinking about putting together a match. Anytime you talk about a match beforehand, if you're not considering how the fans might react or leaving at least an open page for some unforeseen thing to happen, then you're not going to be successful. The match isn't going to be as good as you want it to be. So over the years, I've definitely gotten better at it, because you just have to live and learn. But yeah, I'd say now it's an open book for the entire match. If the crowd goes one way, I'm pretty good at adapting to it, and it's something that makes the whole match better.
Right. And, well, I've always been under the firm belief that the fans are almost half your match anyway, right?
Well, they're everything. They're the ones paying to see it. If they're not enjoying it, then you're not doing your job.
No, but during the match, when the crowd is reacting, that's half the match for the DVD.
For the most part, if they're not entertained and it comes across on DVD they're all sitting on their hands,
right,
then absolutely not. But if you put together the match properly, it depends. Every crowd's completely different. Every show's completely. You guys know, you've been to Deathproof, and then you've been to something like Smash or something else, and they're all different environments. Some of the same people, but when you put in those environments and those shows, you have to put together a match differently.
Fair enough. Well, speaking of fans and interactions, I know I asked this when Ethan was on the show, the other half of Monster Mafia. What was the strangest thing a fan has ever asked you to sign? Because, you go to some events and something will get broken or something happens and people just want that thing. They take it and then they ask you to sign it sort of thing. So what was the strangest thing you've ever been asked to sign?
A guy had me sign his arm. I think it was Oshawa or Kitchener, like 8 years ago, so he could go get it tattooed on his arm. Hello?
I'm here. That's insane. I can't even imagine. I'm like, oh.
I never saw the finished product, but he made me sign his arm so that he could get it stenciled. So.
Oh, they didn't bring it back for you to see. Well, that sucks. Well, maybe those other things. Send you a picture.
I haven't had anything crazy.
Put it up on the thank you. Put it up on the thank you, Josh Alexander page.
Yeah, possibly.
Right now, okay. Have you ever been in the ring and been hurt but had to downplay the seriousness or no sell it completely in front of fans? Does that ever happen? And if it has, how scary has that been?
It's happened over a dozen times. I've been knocked out cold for 5 seconds, woken up, not knowing where I am, and just completely gone on with the entire match more than a handful of times.
Oh wow!
I've hurt my knee. I've pulled out my shoulder. I've broken my neck twice. It's all these things happen, and I don't think I've ever let on that I got hurt. I always just continue to finish the match out of habit, and I'd say it's what I was trained to do or something, but it's not. It's just stubborn stupidity, I guess, when you get hurt to just want to finish the match, pride.
Okay. So out of all of that, then, if you were able to, would you be able to put it down to the top 5 worst injuries you had?
Neck, shoulder. I tore one of my quadricep muscles in a match, and that made me not be able to walk for 3 months properly. Yeah, and I threw up my back. So those will be the top 5, I think.
That's crazy.
I've been lucky enough not to have any broken bones or anything like that. So
out of all that, you've never had any broken bones?
Nope.
Wow. Well, that's insane. Well, I know that we have at least one caller in the queue, but if people do want to join the convo, they know the number to call. It's 605-562-7140, and again, the access code is 182-843, and then there's the pound key, so they can let us know that we're in the room, and if they have a question. But before we unleash our caller onto you, we have a segment called First Impressions. So basically what it is just a rapid-fire little segment. I think of a name, or I mention a name, and then you give us your, first thought, or maybe a quick story, maybe, the first time you met them, or what have you. So, sure. Well, because it's his birthday today, I'm going to start with Bret Hart.
My first hero in wrestling.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Huh.
When I started watching wrestling, it was all based off tapes I could rent from Jumbo Video, and Bret Hart was always the main event guy, and him versus Stone Cold Steve Austin was the first real feud I saw. And I became an enormous Stone Cold fan, but Bret Hart was when I was 12, I was like, oh my God, he's Canadian like me. So, yeah.
That's very cool. And now to go to the other side of the pond, Wade Barrett.
I don't really know much of him. I've seen a couple things from him. I haven't really watched much wrestling in the last few years, and when I do, it's usually the stuff I want to watch that I hear that is good after the fact. I know that he's super nice and super talented because when I met him, he was a cool dude, and I don't know, he's one of those guys that I think could be doing a lot more, but just isn't because of where he is.
And one of my personal favorites in the ring, William Regal.
He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, especially after I learned how to be a professional wrestler.
That makes sense. And a guy that you've gotten familiar with recently, and I mentioned him earlier, Samoa Joe.
The coolest human being I've ever met in all of professional wrestling. Like,
really?
Just meeting him, you can tell why he's a star.
And, well, no, go ahead. Share a story. Go ahead.
I don't know. If he wasn't a wrestler, he'd be a movie star, or he's just one of those guys that can walk in a room and automatically everybody
gravitates towards him?
Yeah.
And, well, another guy that I know you've been in the ring with, Tyson Dukes.
I said it a couple of days ago because he wrote this thing about me, but he's the measuring stick. He's the role model for any professional wrestler, and if he isn't, then that professional wrestler is doing himself a disservice.
Nice. And a guy that I think, if memory serves, you mentioned that you sort of kind of were inspired by, like molded yourself after, was Michael Elgin, a guy that you sort of...
Yeah, Elgin, pretty much all the success I've had in my career is in some way attributed to Michael Elgin. Either I wrestled him and I learned something, or he legitimately got me booked at ROH or something like that. He's always been someone that championed my name to whoever would listen, even when I'm not asking him. He'll just call me up and be like, "You're booked here," and I'll be like,
he's not a hard guy to champion. You make it very easy for him to put his name on the line for you.
Yeah, well, first,
because your work speaks for itself.
Yeah, I never let him down, so.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I guess it's time to unleash the callers. So, caller from the 918. Go ahead.
Hey, Josh, this is your buddy Andrew, and I don't know if you remember me, but I met you a few weeks ago from Oklahoma. And before I ask you a question, I just got to tell you one quick story. And Bernie and Rob both know about this. I had seen you, and I said, Josh is little. They were like, no, Josh is really big. I was like, but YouTube shows him little. Bernie shows me a picture of you, and I now stand corrected. But I really enjoyed meeting you. You were one of the people that made my trip. But
I'm glad. Thanks for the support.
You're welcome. My question for you is, how do you prepare for yourself? What do you do that day when you're getting ready to have the match? What does your day consist of?
When healthy, my day would consist of usually going to the gym 2 or 3 hours before the show, just putting on my headphones and unwinding, and then just grabbing a bite to eat and heading to the show. It's never anything too complicated for me. That's only if the show's local. If it's a faraway show like Chicago or something, it's just a long 10-hour drive all the way there.
I'm going to miss you, buddy. I really am.
If you have any other questions, go ahead, Andrew.
Where's your favorite venue?
My favorite which?
Venue?
Mm-hmm. It's easily Reseda, California, PWG.
Okay.
Nice.
I think that would be anybody's answer that's ever wrestled there.
Very cool. Okay, we got a question from someone who wasn't able to call in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from Francesca. And I just again want to say thank you to Andrew for his great question. But Francesca wants to know, how has fatherhood affected your decision to retire? Or has it? Like, was it strictly just the injuries that played a part, or was it, a little bit of everything that sort of you sat down and maybe, okay, no. I need to think of this and this and this?
No, it's got nothing to do with Lucas. My decision would be the same even if he wasn't here, because it's the risk of paralysis. It's the risk of, death. It's just something I can't take lightly. I understand that wrestling's been my dream for a long time, but I never dreamt of being in the WWE. I've said it a million times. I've literally lived my dream. And, like, I can't get signed to the WWE anyway right now, even if I never had the surgery, because I already had one surgery, and I already have plates and screws in my neck. So that's not even remotely possible. So when I'm faced with another injury and another surgery and more screws and more metal in my neck, and then they're telling me, Josh, you might never walk again if you have a bad fall on your head, which is so likely if I step foot in a professional wrestling ring. I would be stupid, and I would be doing a disservice to my family and anybody that loves me by putting that on the line. Because I'm not going to, if anything happens to me, if I didn't have Lucas, I still need people to take care of me, people that would have to sacrifice their lifestyle so that I could eat or put pants on, stuff like that. Like, I just have to be responsible.
Okay. Now, with all those risks involved, and what was the best piece of advice you've ever been given that has helped you through your career? And what is the best piece of advice that you would give to somebody if they came to you and said, Josh, I want to get into this business?
They would both do the exact same thing. I don't know who told me this. I don't know if anybody even actually told me, but it might be an epiphany I just came across one time, and it's done me great to live by this. Professional wrestling doesn't owe you anything. You have to, if you're in a wrestling ring, if you're a professional wrestler, if you're traveling around and getting on all these shows and doing whatever you do, you have to just step back and remember that professional wrestling doesn't owe you anything. Everybody thinks that, like, once they start wrestling, they see other people getting booked places and traveling or getting championships or winning matches or wrestling this guy, or this guy gets to wrestle this guy on this show. Oh, Josh got to wrestle Samoa Joe. Why am I not wrestling Samoa Joe? And instead of subjectively looking at it and saying, well, this guy worked for this guy traveled this way, and
right.
This guy had matches with this guy, people just assume that they should have had it or they would have had it, but it was politics, so they blame it on something else. It's not
politics as opposed to the fact that they want beauty in your life, plus a neck and this and that, to get the things that you've gotten.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you have to look at it like wrestling doesn't owe you anything. You have to work for everything you have, like, day one until you retire.
Yeah, that's great advice. Be prepared to put in the work.
Exactly.
I understand that.
Called One for the Road, which is basically, if you don't get it, if you will, two if you got them. A couple of road stories if you could. You know you're filled with road stories. You have traveled, like you said, all the way to California and back. I know you've got road stories.
Yeah, it's nothing crazy, but for my second PWG show, usually we get flown into Buffalo or Detroit or something, and we drive across the border, and we have to clear customs by driving, which is not a big deal. We do that all the time. But for this show, we think it's cheaper to fly to Toronto, and we're like, okay, great, that's local, whatever. We get there. I have to clear customs at the airport. I'm flagged at the border. So no matter what, whenever I try to cross the border, I will get pulled in. I will get interrogated. Just me. Paige has no problem crossing the border whatsoever. So
now, why is that?
Because we were both flagged for the same incident where we got turned around, but for some reason his flag got taken off and mine didn't. So it's just random. Whatever. It is what it is.
Okay.
I get pulled in. I have all the paperwork I need. So they start interrogating me, and I'm looking at the clock because they have like the CP24 on TV, and I realize I have an hour until my flight leaves.
Okay.
So I have an hour to get through this customs, and I'm just watching the clock because they have me sit down so they can Google my name and read everything about me. And the clock gets all the way down to probably like 22 minutes before my flight is supposed to leave. The guy pulls me up, interrogates me, grills me on everything, basically tells me I can't do this, I can't cross, that this flight's going to be a waste, all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. So I'm stressed out like crazy. Finally, I just I tell the guy, I'm like, man, do whatever you got to do. You want to turn me around, but, this is bullshit, essentially. And he stamped my passport, handed it to me, he said, okay, have a nice day. And just let me go. I cleared through security and got to my gate where Ethan Page was trying to hold them from letting the flight leave with 2 minutes to spare.
Wow. I can just see Ethan at the gate too. No, why are you coming? No, you gotta wait.
Yeah, we never told that story because we didn't want anyone to have the impression that I had trouble getting across the border and not wanting to book me. But now I guess it doesn't matter. So
we got a scoop. Well, very cool. Thank you for that. All right. So upcoming for you. What shows do you have upcoming before your retirement match, before that final match?
I only have 2 shows left in my wrestling career. I have July 10th in Cleveland for AIW. It is their biggest show of the year, Absolution. It's already sold out. So if you want tickets, that's too bad. I guess you're going to have to buy the DVD. But at that show, I go one-on-one with Ricky Shane Page. I defend my Absolute Championship. And really, I just plan on retiring as champion and vacating that belt.
Okay, and then your final match with Ethan against is it Jim Rat?
Yeah, the Jim Rat.
Got that off for 1 minute. Very, very cool. Well, okay. If you could then, you said the AW is completely sold out now?
Yeah, AW is completely sold out.
Okay, and so if people wanted to get tickets for your final match in Alpha 1 in Hamilton there, where can people find tickets for that?
I don't exactly know the exact vendors. I think Crazy Bill's in Hamilton's one of them. If you contact myself or Brent, just contact me, actually. I'll get people tickets. Otherwise, they'll be available at the door. This show's not going to be sold out, so don't worry about traveling to Hamilton and not being able to get admitted because I'll stuff that venue with as many people as I can.
Oh, I believe that, and it's a big venue. Like you guys got a pretty big space to work with, so I'm sure.
No, we could house a few hundred people if we needed to. So not a big deal.
Like I said, I believe it. I've seen the venue. So with that being said, you said Ricky Page is your next opponent?
Yeah, that's my final singles match.
Okay. If you don't mind, then would you mind before we go doing a quick promo on Ricky Page and tell him about this upcoming match that you have set?
Sure. For months now, since I won the Absolute title, I wanted to match it before a match. Ricky Shane Page was the final competitor with me, and I ended up coming out on top. And for months now, Ricky's thought that he was worthy of being champion, and I've shoved it in his face that he is not. I don't think Ricky's on my level. I don't think Ricky puts in the work. I think Ricky's one of those people that thinks professional wrestlers owes him something. So I'm going to make an example of him on July 10th in Cleveland. And rather than have his dream moment where he wins that championship he's been chasing for 10 years in AIW, on the biggest show, I'm going to defend it. I'm going to successfully defend it, and then I'm going to vacate it and watch him cry about it.
Oh, so you're saying they should bring crying towels for Page?
Pardon me?
They should be bringing crying towels to Cleveland?
Yeah, they should bring a box of the Kleenex and throw them at the ring after the match for him.
Boxes of Kleenex to throw at the ring. Well, they did throw toilet paper at Tarek. Not the same thing, but still a funny image. Now, where can people find you if they want to, social media-wise? How can people follow you on Twitter or Instagram or any of that stuff? How can people talk to Josh?
Twitter and Instagram are the exact same thing. It's at walking_weapon. And, that's basically it. Everything goes through there.
Okay, and then they'd be able to get tickets there. They can ask other questions there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very interactive with anybody that wants to ask me anything on social media. So.
Wonderful. And everyone knows where to find us. On Twitter, it is at Gemini Diva 75, that is me. And Rob is at 680. So, yeah. I got to tell you, Josh, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to seeing you in the ring one last time. Sadly, I won't be in Cleveland because, you know me, I would be bringing a whole truckload of Kleenex for Ricky Page. But I will definitely be there in Hamilton and be there for your send-off in Steeltown. So we'll be bringing some friends, too. So we will be there, and I will make sure that everyone, comes out and that they've got a way to find out about you and, a way of getting a hold of you to ask questions, get tickets for these last couple events of yours, because if they haven't seen you, they probably should, because it's definitely something to see.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm trying to make this show the best show I can. I've had friends from all around North America coming in for this show, and it's the only show I'm ever going to run, so I'm going to make sure it's good.
Do you want to give us a rundown of the show to kind of let people know, if they don't know the card yet, who's on?
Well, the main event's obviously myself and Stage with Monster Mafia finally going 2-on-2 against the Gym Rats. Gym Rats are two people I've had a storied career against. We've been kind of linked ever since I began training. They were already wrestling by the time I started training, so I came in with these guys, and I'm going to go out with these guys. Another match on the show that I'm really excited for is Elysia Sparks against Eddie Kingston. These are two of my favorite people in all of professional wrestling. Eddie Kingston is a very strong style competitor, and I think Elysia Sparks is as well. Elysia Sparks actually got a win over me on the last A1 show by knocking me out with a lariat. So I think this match is going to be worth the price of admission alone, and it's definitely going to be something that I'm peeking out the curtain watching myself.
Oh, for sure. She's an ass kicker, so that's going to be a great match.
Yeah. Other than that, I have just announced today one of the biggest up-and-coming professional wrestlers, no pun intended, in all of the world is Dick Justice. He's hilarious. He's super talented. He's super entertaining. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. And he will be going one-on-one against Danny Orlando, which is an interesting dynamic with the personal trainer and the kind of chubby police officer. So, do that one.
Love Danny Orlando, so I'm excited for that match against Dick Justice.
And another match, the last one I'll kind of plug is another marquee matchup. I think Kobe Durst is an up-and-comer in Ontario. I like everything about what he's doing. I think he's a good kid. I think he has a lot of potential, and I think it's about time he gets his chance against one of the truly great professional wrestlers to ever step foot out of Canada, and that's Tyson Dukes. It was a one-on-one, and I think it's going to be a great test for Kobe, win or lose.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching that match pretty intently. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, that's a pretty stacked card, dude. So if there's any reason to come out and check this out, you just listed a couple there. So I hope everyone gets your tickets, and I hope you get the send-off that I believe you deserve. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Josh.
No problem.